What's up, guys? This is Tai Zen, and with me today, I have the Honorable Grandmaster, legendary, world-renowned LeonFu.com, right? The great oracle of cryptocurrency, all right? And in this video, guys, we want to talk a little bit about Particl, the Particl project. And before we get started, we want to thank our channel sponsors, Particl. You can find more about them at particl.io for more information, okay? So in this Particl for investors, we want to talk about the risk of investing in Particl. Now, you may have seen a previous video where we went through these slides, but we did it. We allowed the Particl team to, address the risk that's investing in Particl. And now in this video series, we want to talk about the same risk, but we want to give you guys our opinion on it. Just me and Leon. So the TaiFu analysis here, right? So let's talk about the business risk that's involved with the Particl project, right? So you want to get started?
Yeah. So I'll get started. So you might have watched a previous video where we asked the Particl teams these questions, and I think for this project, a business risk, this is one of the major risks in this business because I've been in software for so long. I've seen tons of projects.
Yeah.
I will say 50% of them fail because the engineers couldn't deliver what they were supposed to deliver, right? That means the software engineers, the developers.
They said they could create this software,
but they turned out and they couldn't do it, right? Or they couldn't do it within the budget, or they couldn't do it within the time period. In fact, most software projects fail. I've been in this business. There's some statistics that says 80-90% of these software projects fail.
Well,
but this is not what. Let's talk about this, right? That's one of the risks. The other part where projects fail is the engineering team delivered. I was last on one of these projects, right, where the engineering team delivered. They did what they say they were going to do.
Yeah.
But they couldn't sell it. The business team.
They couldn't get people to use it.
They couldn't get people to use it, right?
Yeah. And you want to share how much the project cost? Like 60.
Well,
it was like,
many projects are like this. It's not. I've
just so that the investors know. Yeah, it was like a $60-70 million project.
So I've seen $70 million projects where they build it. I've seen $30 million projects where they've worked on it for 2 years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't getting traction, and it's nothing to do with the engineers. They actually built what
they did their part.
Yeah, they did their part. You wanted to build a bridge, we built a bridge. You wanted to build a car, we built a car, right? Yeah. But this is the side is now if the engineering team comes through, does the business side of the team come through?
Yeah.
Can they actually?
And the most important part of this whole Particl rebranding is that they are rebranding themselves to get away from being known as a privacy coin, which is what everybody labeled them as. That's not what they were, but that's what everybody labeled them. So that's why they got away from the shadow coin, shadow cash background, and now they're rebranding themselves as the Particl project.
So from what I feel, and we've spoken, you guys have seen the interview when that we asked Micah and the Rhino and Paul about how they feel about this, and then in a previous video, we've also allowed them to explain what their business use case, like who is going to use it, what is your strategy, and there were some concerns. There were some concerns about whether they actually have a good plan to go to market, if they have a good strategy to get their users, to get business. In this case, it's merchants and users, right? That's who they're trying to get. For me, how I feel about this is that they definitely need to work on this.
Yeah.
Like they definitely have to go back and think about who they're actually trying to target and what they're actually trying to target. Now, given that the stage of this project, the software isn't even out yet, so they have time.
Yeah, they got plenty of time.
They got plenty of time because the project, it's not. I think they're very vague right now, and what the business team, what Joe and
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, just call them the Particl team.
The Particl team, the business Particl team, the guys when we had a slide with all of those guys have a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
I think those guys really need I would have, as an investor, I would have liked to see them.
Don't touch your mic.
Sure. I would have liked to see them further along. I would have liked to see them, but it's not at this stage of the game. They still have time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you agree with that?
Yeah. So my concern is this, right? I've seen so many. According to the Small Business Administration in America, they are the ones that help foster the growth of small businesses in America. They say that 90% of businesses fail, okay, within the first year.
And why is that?
And because usually they lack of funding is the number one reason, right? But here's the thing is that if we go by their statistics, right, 90% of the businesses fail within the first year, and then after that, 5 years later, right, 90% of the surviving businesses fail
too.
So out of 100 businesses that start up in the first year, 90 of them are going to fail, and then the 10 that's remaining, 9 of them are going to fail within the next 5 years.
So in 5 years, only one of them will still make it.
Yeah. So it's not uncommon for me to believe that these software projects will fail. That's not. I mean, that's expected.
That's expected.
Right.
That's
I'm
right.
shocked if there's 2 or 3 of them that succeed in the first year. Okay.
That make it to their 5th year.
Yeah, that make it to their 5th year. Right. The key here. Based on the conversation that we had with Rhino, the lead developer of the Particl project, I don't see the technical aspects being a problem because I'm sure that sooner or later, him and his team will figure out how to solve the technical problem. Because if they've been working on it for the several years now, since 2014, on the Shadow Cache project, it shows that they have resilience. They're not going to quit and give up.
Yeah, they've been at this for a while. Like Rhino's been there.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah, banging his head against this for a while.
So that's a good sign that him and Technovert.
They're here for the long run.
Yeah, they're here for the long run. All right. Sure. So they have a strong cause and a mission to maintain a user's privacy. So that's not an issue. My concern is that how are they going to get people to use the Particl marketplace? Because what reason would anyone have other than privacy to use that Particl's marketplace versus like Amazon or eBay? Okay, so that's right, and this goes back to the chicken or the egg problem. You know, if once they get a lot of vendors on there, then the consumers, the users will come and buy, right? Or if they get enough without the vendors, then no one's going to come and buy, right?
That's right.
And then how would they get listed on major exchanges? This is not a really big concern for me. Because Shadow Cache has already been listed since 2014. And if they're rebranding it to get a cleaner image, I don't think any of the exchanges like Poloniex is going to care because all they want is transaction fees. And if that's going to bring in more business and more transaction fees for them, they're going to list it. So I don't see that being a problem or a big risk at all. Now, how will they come to negative press about abandoning the Shadow Cache project? Now, this is something that you and I spent hours on, right?
Trying to figure out the real
To figure out, because they published a really negative article about Shadow Cache. And,
that was a Cointelegraph article.
Cointelegraph, and there was no basis for it. We spent hours pouring through the Bitcoin Talk forums, and we even emailed the guys that made the false accusations. Yeah,
that's right.
And they never responded.
That's right.
So if we made several attempts to contact the people making the accusations, and they don't respond.
We tried to collaborate that story.
Yeah.
We actually, I mean, as part of this research, we found that article, and the article said this, and this person said this, and we couldn't.
And we couldn't corroborate it.
We couldn't corroborate it.
Yeah. That right there, I'm not too concerned with. The exchange, I'm not concerned with. It's the merchants and the users.
Really think this is a big deal, and I think that's a major risk at this moment in time. Like, that could change. They have time. They have time to figure this out.
Community risk, can they recruit the right people and talent, right? What do you think? You're a software engineer. You've done a lot of, interviews.
I am not. This depends. This really depends on, software engineers are also people. Yeah. Right. They exist everywhere. Right. Yeah. And so, if they have a strong message, if they can convince users and merchants to come, I believe engineers will follow. Yeah. Because being a software engineer myself. We all are different. We all have different beliefs. We all have different causes, but we all want to work on software that's being used by people. Okay. Now, and so if they can achieve that, if they are able to figure out how to get adoption, they will be able to find engineers and the talent they need.
Okay, so remember with Charles Hoskinson, the former co-founder of Ethereum, he said when we talked to him privately, he said that there has to be a strong enough cause or reason or mission to draw talent to this project.
That's right.
Because they're not going to be able to pay like Google or Facebook.
It's got to be,
right?
they got to...
For example here, if, like I've asked you before, how come you haven't joined any of these cryptocurrency projects? Because they can't pay you enough.
Well, I have a different strategy,
Yeah.
right? I'm here just to make money, right?
Yeah.
I do software engineering as my profession, and I've worked on many projects I don't believe in.
Yeah, but they pay you.
But they pay me, right? And they pay me very well, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore they're my client, they're my customer, and I make...
You consult with them?
If I consult with them, and I tried my best to deliver what they've asked of me to do.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't believe in all of them, you know.
There's even been projects where you worked on where you even told them that it wouldn't work.
No, I knew that it wouldn't work, right? But you know, it's not my...
But you told them, but they still paid you to do it anay.
They still paid me to do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine if they have the funding to do that, and if they are Facebook, Google, Apple, Dell, whatever, you know, any one of these large companies, they have these huge budgets. They have, you know, they're multi-billion-dollar corporations. They can pay, right? And all of these crypto projects, they're not like that.
Yeah.
They're not Fortune. None of them are Fortune 500
companies.
So they need to work on, I think, delivering a stronger message about who their target audience is. And if they can do that, then their community will grow. And there'll be people passionate enough where they will work for them.
Yeah, just like when you and I were gravitated towards work on researching the Privacy Coin project, not just simply because they were a profitable cryptocurrency bucket to look at and research, but we also have a strong belief in protecting human privacy.
Yes,
right?
we do.
A person's privacy rights.
Yes.
So it was very easy for us that it was something that we believe in, a mission, a cause in, and we also believe in making money
and
from it.
And that's why we took on this project.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't just for the money they paid us. It was also because we believed in this cause.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what happens if Rhino or one of the key players leave? Right. They said that the Particl team said that's not going to be a big deal. What's your thoughts?
Okay. So once again, if the community is Satoshi Nakamoto left. Right.
Left Bitcoin.
He left Bitcoin, and
it still survives today and growing.
It still survives, and it's still growing. It's worth way more.
But has the Particl project reached the point of no return?
I don't believe the project will survive if Rhino gets hit by a rhino.
A rhino.
Yes.
Okay.
Or eaten by one, right?
Yeah.
So no, this project will be in jeopardy if something were to happen to any... Actually,
in this early stage.
In this early stage. Any of the key members, Micah, Paul, the Technovert, any of these guys, if they were to leave or something were to happen to them, that is a risk here at this stage, because they're not Bitcoin and they're not, say, Ethereum. Like, I don't care if Vitalik gets hit by a bus, right? That project has reached a point where it will survive.
And it has reached critical mass.
It has reached, I don't know if it's critical mass, but it's reached a point where it could survive
without the
original founder.
Okay. So now, as an investor, I'm not a coder like you are, but as an investor, right, I'm concerned about these guys like Technovert who remain anonymous, and I respect their desire to want to be private. I mean, it is a privacy project, so if the characters in it or the players in it want to remain private, I respect that. But can they be trusted when we don't know who they are?
Well, we know who Rhino is.
Yeah, the Particl team says that we should judge them by their work on GitHub.
To an extent, that's true, because they've built a reputation.
Yeah.
And to an extent that Rhino has vouched for him. So if we trust Rhino, I guess we have to trust his judgment. Onto these people. I mean, if you don't trust Rhino or his judgment, then you shouldn't be in this project. You shouldn't be in this project.
So let's move forward with the technical risk. Now, you asked the Particl team about their massive activity network over Tor. Explain what Tor is for and why you ask these questions.
So the reason I was asking is because privacy is much more than just like obfuscating the transactions.
And obfuscate means to hide. I mean, to make unintelligent, unclear, unintelligent.
Yeah, that's important. But just privacy extends further than that. And so one of the major things is how are you going to prevent, say, monitoring the network, right?
Yeah.
If people, if they're actually targeting you, for example, if unless you're using Tor or VPN or some type of other tool to mask your internet activity, it wouldn't be hard, even if you are using something like this, to track what you're doing.
Okay.
So really, that's why I asked that question, right?
Okay. And is it built in? Is Tor
is
built
it built
in,
or do I have to go set something up? Will you set it up for me? Because you're trying to get adoption.
And what's the difference so that the investors will know? What's the difference between me setting it up versus
you setting
it
up means that built in means it's doing that out of the box.
I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything. So it's on by default. It does it out of the box. Tor is something that you have to go set up. Just like if you want to use like a VPN, a virtual private network.
That's extra work. I'm not gonna do
That's extra work, right? That's extra work. So I asked that question to see if they've at least given thought to that, right?
Okay.
So the business risk is a huge risk.
Yeah.
I believe this is a huge technical risk too, because no one has actually done what they're trying to do and done it well.
Okay, but then that's what people said about
Ethereum, right?
Ethereum, when we interviewed Vitalik back in 2000,
concern,
you even said that to him. No one's done this before.
No one's done this before, right? And what makes you think you're a 21-year-old kid? What do you think you can do this for, right? But he pulled through. Yeah. He delivered, and now we have a $4 billion network, and it has been the most phenomenal return for everyone. For everyone involved in the project is we talk about life-changing finance. That's what we're talking about. That was life-changing. Okay, so this is the same thing here. I don't know if Rhino and his team can actually pull this off. Okay. I don't know. Because, like I said, I see Open Bazaar, which is an example of something that might be what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if that's all they do, what Open Bazaar is doing, I don't think this thing's going anywhere.
Okay.
Right? I don't think that is enough. I don't think like we have nothing to relate this to.
Because it's the first time it's being done.
It's the first thing that's happening. So the closest thing we can relate this to is Open Bazaar, which I don't think is going to go anywhere unless something drastically happens.
Okay, maybe they learn from it and now they'll make it better.
Maybe they learn from it, but they do have a better, I think they do have a better UI guy than Open Bazaar did. I think at least from the screenshots, that it
was more user-friendly and a lot cleaner.
From the work I've seen, I think they have a very strong UX person.
Yeah.
Somebody who can design a user interface.
Yeah.
I don't know but that's just the guy, that's just the front, that's just the layer that we see as a user. Yeah. How it works behind the scenes, will it deliver an acceptable experience?
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
But that is a technical risk.
This is a huge risk. The first two, these are two huge risks that you are taking on as an investor. If you decide to invest in Particl, you are taking, if this investment pays off, it will have become because they've first overcome this risk because they have to build the product first, and second because they've overcome the business risk.
But if they are able to overcome one or both of these, then the net will be massive.
I think it will be a good return as long as they. In fact, really, we can talk about this later. But actually, I think this is what they have to overcome first. They actually have to build the product and actually build a product that people want to use.
Yeah.
They have to first deliver that first.
Yeah.
And that is the first risk now. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the governance risk, right? Mm-hmm. And governance simply means that who makes the final decision or how do they make the final decision, right? When it's needed. How will they prevent the community from fracturing?
Okay, my view on this is not a risk right now.
It's not?
No, because right now the project is small enough that Rhino is basically the one leading it. They don't even have a product yet. They have to first get that out there. We have to actually see something that we can use. Because the business side can't, if they have nothing to sell, what are they going to, they can still do work, right? They can still think about
they have nothing to market.
They can still think about, they can work on their strategy, what it's going to be when the product is delivered. But this is something that I think is further down the line when the community grows a little bit larger.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not a risk in the short term.
Okay.
And when I say short term, I mean the next year.
All right. So I want to talk about some of the funding risks, right? What happens if they don't raise enough money later? Because it looks like they're on track to raise enough money to fulfill their goals on the seed round, but we don't know what's going to happen in the primary round.
Once I think, what I feel about this is they've pretty much raised what they needed for the seed round.
Yeah.
Right? I think at this point in time, we know that
we can call that a success.
We can call that a success, right?
Yeah.
They need to, before they go to the second funding round, they need to deliver that first version.
Yeah, the first version, the beta version, so people can start testing.
So people can start testing it, getting an idea of what it works. If that happens, if they can deliver that.
Yeah.
If Rhino, so right now the burden right now is on Rhino and his team.
Yeah.
Okay. If you believe Rhino can do that, I think this risk goes away.
Okay.
Because just from the state of the market, in this market, we've seen projects raise $10 million with nothing.
So
right?
if they come out with a beta version for people to start
that
testing.
The community likes, that the community looks, they will have no problem raising
money for this.
But it's a risk right now because they don't
because of the technical risk. So if they solve the technical risk.
This risk I think
then this risk goes away.
This risk goes away.
Okay,
yeah.
and I agree with you with that.
Uh-huh.
And he mentioned Micah is a hedge fund manager, so the protecting the funds they raise against price volatility. So Ethereum raised about $18 million, and when they got their bitcoins, it was at $600. But by the time they started spending it to pay for stuff,
it was mostly at 200.
The price of Bitcoin dropped down to 200, and they didn't do anything to hedge that.
So
price
they lost 2/3 of their money
that they raised.
Just because they did no hedging. They didn't understand hedging. That project, people don't realize, Ethereum is such a huge success, how close they came
to failing.
And instead of
they were on
$50 token, they would have been zero. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone says, wow, it was this mistake nearly destroyed them, right?
Yeah.
And also lack of financial controls, where it was said that they were
spending money too fast,
$400,000 or $500,000 a month. I think it was I don't remember the exact figure, but this was I put this in there because this is a risk that all projects need to.
Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is that I believe that the hedging against the price volatility, they're not going to have that problem like Ethereum did, because, like I said, Micah is a hedge fund manager. So what they do is hedge, right? And he explained some of the futures, Bitcoin future strategies that he was going to use to hedge the money they raised. And I trade futures, I trade currencies, I trade stocks, so I understand what he's trying to do.
And I also think that they're going to be more disciplined than Ethereum was, which I think they had no discipline for financial.
They were engineers, they were not finance guys.
They were not finance guys running, spending the money. Yeah.
So some of the legal risk right here, right? Let's run through this real quick.
All right.
The legal risk is Particl a security? Because if it is, they need to register with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. In the U.S. Supreme Court case of SEC versus Howey, Securities and Exchange Commission versus the Howey in 1946, they established a four-pronged test to determine what is a security. So let's run through this four-pronged test again, right?
Sure.
So,
go ahead.
Are you going to invest? The question that the courts are going to ask, or the authorities are going to ask, is: are you going to invest money into it? Right. So the answer is yes, right? Right.
Yes.
But now, the key here is: are you going to invest money, or are you going to donate and contribute money?
That's right. That's right.
So that's
the key right now,
the key.
And nearly all of these ICOs, their terms are in. This is all a donation.
Yeah.
And this is donating to your favorite charity, and here's a gift.
Here's a balloon.
Here's a
TV,
TV or something, right? But in this case, here's some tokens.
Right. So do you expect a profit from your investment? Right. So in this particular case, right, you may expect it.
Yeah.
To go up in value, but there's no promise from the project.
This question is: are they saying you can expect a profit, right?
Yeah.
Because if you invest in a small business or a big business, any business, they are saying they are going to make an attempt to make money for you, right? That if you buy Apple stock, if you buy any stock or invest in any company, the pitch to you as an investor is: we're going to attempt to make money.
Okay, and then is the money going to be towards a community or an enterprise project? And the answer is yes right here.
Yes,
right? And then are the efforts to make the project profit outside of your control?
Yes,
it is. It's outside of our control.
yeah.
Right?
But there are no profits to begin with because there was never. This is almost, like I said, this is almost a donation. This is a donation.
So now we don't know who their lawyers are. They won't disclose who their law firm is because they haven't gotten permission from them yet. But based on reading between the lines, I think it may be the same law firm that did the LISC.
Or what they say, many cryptos.
So the LISC and the Ethereum, and that's just my guess. My guess. I have no evidence of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So because those. It's the same law firm that set up the LISC Foundation and the Ethereum Foundation.
Many crypto projects, right?
Yeah.
And how many
so
are there? Yeah.
now, are they experienced in cryptocurrency related laws? We don't know who the law firm is, but if it's the same one that set up the Ethereum Foundation and the LISC, then they may have some experience.
Yeah.
Why do a token exchange instead of an ICO? And that's the legal reasons that their law firm advised them to do. So we're going to have to respect them, the fact that they're following their law firm's advice, right? So why is the Particl Foundation plan to be set up in Switzerland? He explained, the Particl team explained that, and I agree with that. They have, let's just say they're not so strict on new projects and new businesses such as cryptocurrencies. How will the Particl developers be protected against users who choose the Particl platform illegally? That's what the foundation is for, is to provide, and the law firm is to provide the legal protection. So far, based on what we've talked to them, they've followed what the law firm has recommended legally. So they're doing with that, so that's good because we don't want Rhino or anybody on his team to go to jail or go to prison for not following their country's laws, okay? So how will the law abiding Particl users be protected from the nefarious users? And this is where I think that their reputation system that they're gonna develop is going to go help protect the users. Because if I'm selling stuff that's legal on there, I don't want to get in trouble for someone selling something illegal on the marketplace, right? So hopefully, guys, we just made this video to express our personal opinions on what, and this is from our perspective, from Leon and I's perspective, of the risk involved in investing into the Particl project. And we gave an opportunity for them to express their answers. And we just wanted to make this video to express our opinions about it, okay? So thanks for watching this video, guys. If you guys have any friends, family, or colleagues that want to learn how to invest in cryptocurrencies, make sure that you share our channel with them. Make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter at www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter, and it's spelled just like you hear it, www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter. And before we conclude this video, I want to thank our channel sponsors, Particl, and you can find more about them at particl.io. Thank you.